Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. Today's presentation, Brazil's Blue Jewels, Hope for the Hyacinth Macaw, is brought to you by NatHab Expedition Leader Elder Brandao. A little bit more about our presenter. Elder earned a biology degree from the University of Sao Paulo and has led expeditions across South America over the past decade, including Peru, Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia, while also exploring national parks in South Africa, Botswana, and Mozambique. He served as head guide at one of Brazil's top eco lodges, where he led wildlife excursions, trained guides, and served as environmental manager while working on a jaguar conservation project tracking the Pantanal's apex predator. In 2015, Herder founded an environmental consulting company to support sustainability and ecotourism and enjoys sharing his vast ecological knowledge of Brazil with NatHab travelers. Thank you so much for being here today, Herder. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Brooke. Thank you very much for all your effort. I know how it's hard to put all these together. Thank you all for being here. I hope this you can enjoy this, and you can extract some good information about this, and also enjoy the macaws, right? The pictures that I brought here and some of the subjects. So let's start. I would like, first of all, to apologize for my camera. I don't know what's happening. It's a kind of a blur camera, but let's continue. So we can start by this picture, actually, because this is a stunning animal, right? This is the Hyacinth Macaw. I hope you enjoy this, the Brazil's jewels, the Brazil blue jewels. So the subject that we are bringing here is about the macaws itself. So the four species of macaws we have in Brazil. We're going to talk about conservation. We're going to talk about wildlife behavior, ecology, biology, and photograph. So chances to photograph in the NatHab trip, right? So I will tell you here about the conservation efforts done to safeguard those jewels that can be an inspiration for others. So I'll tell you about the beautiful places they live at, and so this is the subjects. But why? Why macaws would be important, right? So especially with the global warming, the biodiversity lost we are having, I want to show you how is today the conservation status of the blue macaws, to highlight how fast we need to act, and showing also how much we already lost and how much conservation initiatives we need, right? So first of all, just a quick introduction. I'm from Brazil, working in the Pantanal for almost 20 years. As Brooke mentioned, I'm a biologist. And when I arrived in Pantanal, I was guiding, working as an environmental manager, capturing jaguars, helping the Hyacinth Macaw Institute in a few times. So I was involved in conservation and tourism. I'm guiding the Pantanal for NatHab and also in Patagonia for 10 years. So about 20 years together, in Argentina and Chile as well. And then let's go with our subjects, right? Our stars. So those are the four species we're going to talk about today, exactly in this order. So Glaucus macaw, the first one. Later we're going to talk about Spix macaw, then Lear's macaw, also called indigo macaw, and the last one, the hyacinth, right? So those are the four ones. And well, they are in Brazil, right? Brazil, let's talk about Brazil and the parrot family. So Brazil is the largest country in South America, and it holds the highest number of species in the world of parrots. So we get about 84 species of parrots, about 25% of the world's parrot number, right? 17 of them, 17 species are threatened, right? So it's quite a threatened situation. Some can live over 80 years old, can be measured 3 feet long, so can be quite big. And parrots are so important for the environment. They can help the forest regeneration. spreading seeds when they're feeding. So this is just one thing to mention. But let's start with the first one, right? Glaucus macaw. Unfortunately, this will be a fast introduction because it's considered extinct. It was seen for the last time in 1948. So today there's just 3 specimens in the museums. So imagine, um, uh, unfortunately, it's already extinct. It was already rare when they were living in Brazil in a very small population, but in the end of the 19th century, it disappeared before people actually got studied them. So hypotheses to about the extinction includes hunting, natural catastrophes, low genetic variability, and habitat lost. So it is a good size one. It can reach around 28 inches. So it's a fairly big macaw. And so unfortunately was already extinct. They lived in lowlands in the south of Brazil, usually on palm tree areas, on river banks around Argentina, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Brazil. But it was just in a little area. So, and as they are not confirmed reports, nobody really knew where they would nest. So much we don't know about this bird, right? So yeah, as I said, it was a fast introduction because this is already extinct. Next one is Spix macaw, right? So Spix macaw was first described in 1638. So and is named after a German naturalist. The last name was Spix, so Johann Spix. He actually collected a specimen, received a specimen in 1819, and then illustrated and described. So it is much smaller, so 22 inches, 400 grams, so it's less than 1 pound. Your coloration is beautiful, beautiful blue, completely blue, but the head has a lighter color blue and a darker color blue in the wings. So what is special about this bird as well is it is endemic to Brazil. It just is found in Brazil, and the only species of this genus, right? So in one very interesting thing, it was immortalized in an animated film called Rio, right? Maybe you heard about. Probably, if you heard, you will remember the characters Blue and Jewel were the last wild pair of breeding Spix macaws in the world. So, and kind of a copying the real life, it has some reality in the story of the movie because it was considered extinct in the wild due to illegal trade, illegal hunting, wildlife traffic, right? Deforestation, especially in the 70s and in the 80s. So in 1986, just 3 individuals were left in the wild. So it was really sad. And it became a symbol of illegal wildlife trade, right? So the last time this animal was seen in the wild was around 2000. So, and it just around 60 individuals remain in captivity, and most of them out of Brazil, right? So there was a very sad story about the second species as well. This is where they used to live. They would live in northeast of Brazil, between 2 states, the Bahia state and Pernambuco state. They would live in the riverbanks of San Francisco River. So a very specific area, very small area. So the Spix macaw. And But the interesting thing about this is they actually uh, started a very interesting reintroduction program. So in 2020, Brazil helped, with the help of international efforts, brought it back to the country 52 Spix macaws that were brought from captivity around the world. So it was very interesting. It was a German NGO together with the Brazil government. They did this program. So they started with the training. They created actually a breeding center, a training center, actually a training to prepare the animals um, to have a better survival chance in nature. So usually the ones that were chosen presented better flying, better health conditions, better. They could identify better the predators. They had better social interaction. So very interesting group of people that were working. They also released back to the wild together with another species of macaw. They used the blue-winged macaw. So they were both released together, maybe to facilitate the survivalness, because those two species they have similar habitats, they share kind of similar behavior, and they could help each other. For example, finding food. So it was very interesting. They would keep the enclosure open for the for many months, so the animals could come back if they wanted. And so it's very interesting. And they received transmitters as well to be monitored. So that was quite interesting. Even they had chicks. They were born in captivity right there in the northeast of Brazil. So it was a good start. But now they actually face challenges in the last year and this year. So they had the ones that were released in the wild. They had health issues. All the individuals had to be recaptured back to captivity. So it was a big challenge. Also, some institutional insertions, so like partnership issues. So they have a really big challenges now this year. Anyway, a good information is that in this year also Brazil received over 40 new Spix macaws from captivity around the world. So it was a good sign they can keep going with the work. So there is hope, right? The institutions and the government, the Brazilian government, they're working, trying to continue the conservation work of the Spix macaw. So this is the second species we're going to bring up today. Um, and then we pass to the third one, which is called Lear's macaw or indigo macaw. Different from the other two presented previously, they have a better conservation status, if I could say, because they are endangered. The ones that I mentioned were in a worst scenario, right? So the indigo or Lear's macaw, it's one of the rarest birds in the world, and also pretty big, actually. Can be up to 30 inches. It can weigh almost 2 pounds, and it's really beautiful, all blue, but the head, depending on the light, it's greenish as well. So it's a quite amazing animal. Um, and why it's so rare, right? So nobody knew about this species since 1828, when also another illustrator, writer, explorer called Edward Lear, this is why the name described and illustrated the species. So, but although he told the world about the species, actually nobody knew where they live at until the 70s. Can you imagine? Until 1970, nobody knew where those macaws will live at in Brazil. Nobody reported the location. So just in 1978, probably you heard about this gentleman. It's a German helmet sick, right? This German ornithologist, him and together with some fellows, they really found the location of one Spix macaw population with the help of local people. So they found, and this is quite recent, right? Like just around 50 years ago. So that's really special, right? Really, really special. Um, about the home range where they found in northeast of Brazil, in the north of Bahia state, very close to the other the Spix macaw that we mentioned previously. Um, and this macaw, also similar to the Spix macaw, the Lear's macaw is endemic to Brazil as well. And it lives in a biome called Caatinga. It's a very dry biome with a rugged terrain, with thorny scrubs. So very special area. And they live in a few protected areas today. So it's really amazing the work that they did to try to save the species. Um, this small area is really rich in sandstone cliffs, right? So in beautiful valleys. So it's a really amazing area. Um, the census about the population in the 1990s was just 50 in the wild. But today, the last census, 2024, we had over 2,500 macaws in the wild, right? So it's a great number. It is usually seen in flocks, as you can see in this picture. They roost communally in sandstone cliffs, but usually they fly to other areas in the morning to feed, to find food, mostly in areas with licuri palm trees. Let me show the next slide because it shows the main source of food. This is licuri palm tree, the main food for them. So they get the nuts perched on the palm trees or from the ground. Each one of them can actually eat 300 nuts per day. Can you imagine? So while the group feeds, usually at least one will stay as the sentinel, so to protect, to guard the group. This palm tree is so special for the species that when it is not ripe, it serves as a major source of water, right? So it's quite important for them. Although this is the main food for them, they can eat other 30 kinds of nuts and fruits as well. So such as pine nuts or cactus fruit. And when the food shortage is great, the macaws feed on corn, usually planted by local community. So yeah, this is feeding for this species. And how about breeding? So the Lear's macaw depends on cliff faces, as you can see in the picture, for nest sites. So they make nests in the wall holes. Usually with the arrival of the rainy season, they start breeding. Between September and October, each couple separates from the bands and start choosing the walls, the nest, to prepare the nest. Which, as you can see, it's a quite steep, probably really safe from predators. So the breeding season, it's from October to May of the next year, right? This is a picture you can see in detail when the couple finds its own nest. It can be quite small, right? It can be quite small. Some of them are a little bit larger. You can see in this other picture, but always in cliffs. This is a very interesting picture because it's a camera trap camera or trail camera, and is inside the nest. You can see the chick, the eggs, and one of the parents inside there. They can lay up to 3 eggs, but usually 1 or 2 chicks survive. The incubation period, it's about 30 days, usually 28 days. And the chicks fly from the nest after 3 months, probably around over 100 days, actually. So it's very special, and you have this kind of pictures because of this very incredible program. A group of people, a group of research and monitoring, that they are working with these species, monitoring the population, managing the population, managing the chicks, the nest, studying them. So it's also working with the local community, working with tourism. So it's a great, great effort. And they are working with that species for over 17 years. So that's really great. And the result, the most important result, is the population trend, the number that it's supposed to be increasing. So as you can see here, today it's over 2,500 in the wild. So it's quite nice to see this one species recovering from illegal trade and traffic and hunting. Yeah. This is a pretty big macaw, and I would like to show you here to compare with the next subject, which is the hyacinth macaw. They are quite similar. So if you have never had the chance to see any of them in the wild, they are very similar. But of course, they have difference in size. The hyacinth macaw is bigger. I'll tell you in a few seconds. The sounds are quite different. But the main things you can distinguish is the head and the neck of the Lear's macaw present a greenish blue color, right? The bare face patch that they have, which is called wattle, is in the shape of a water drop in the Lear's macaw. And in the hyacinth is in the shape of a strip, right? So this is one of the another ways to distinguish them. And now we're going to the last one, the fourth species, right? So the hyacinth macaw. This is the world's largest macaw, and it can reach over 3 feet long. It can weigh 1.3 kilos. So it's quite big animal. In the chicks can be bigger, actually heavier, especially in the feeding peak feeding time. They can actually be bigger, heavier. So the hyacinth macaw, and this is the ones that you can actually see in the Pantanal Net trip. And I have to say, it's stunning. You can see lots of them. So, but before we talk about the species, we need to talk about someone in an institution. So Dr. Neiva Guedes started to work with these species in 1990. And it founded the Hyacinth Macaw Institute. So she is a doctor in zoology. She is a university professor. She coordinates the studies, the monitoring, the management of the Hyacinth macaws in the wild. She is the president of the institution, and she's in the board of an NGO called Parrots International. Maybe you heard. It's located in Los Angeles, LA. So she has many published books, scientific articles. She's an inspiration for many wildlife researchers, because especially due to the amazing conservation work and results achieved. Once the macaw was in the brink of extinction, and these birds are now symbol of hope, thanks to her work and her teamwork, and the influence of ecotourism as well in the area. So, um, where this happens. So this again, Brazil map in South America. This happens in Pantanal, one of the world's largest wetlands, and where NetHab trips happen. This is a big area in the center west of Brazil. It's about 81,000 square miles, so pretty big, almost the size of Utah State or Great Britain area, right? So just to see how big it is. But talking about the Hyacinth Macaws, he used to live in all this area, as you can see in the map now, surrounded by a blue color here. This is where they used to live. Today, they are isolated in three populations. So one in the Pantanal, one in the Amazon, as you can see in the picture, and one in northeast of Brazil, again, close to the other two species that I mentioned. So those are the three populations of hyacinth macaws in the wild. They also live in Bolivia and Paraguay. Just a few numbers. Actually, they were extinct in Paraguay, but some people are thinking there are some reports of them getting back to Paraguay today. Well, this is a highly selective bird in terms of diet. They just eat two kinds of palm tree nuts, acuri and bocaiúva palm tree. They just found in the Pantanal, in these areas, and usually acuri is the most important one because they can find the nuts all year long, while the other just 6 months of the year, right? So so they're highly selected. They have highly selective diet. Also, they form groups before getting sexual mature. Usually, they get sexual mature around 7 or 8 years old. Before that, they form groups such as this one. So it's quite nice to see flocks of them together. And the breeding itself, usually from July to March of the next year, right? And they are considered monogamous. So they're for life. So they're made for life. They don't have really sexual dimorphism. You cannot distinguish them, the male from the female. In the Pantanal, their nest is 95%, around 95% is just in one species of tree. This one in the picture, it's called manduvi, or called Panama tree. Usually they never start the nest by themselves. Usually a branch that is broken opens an area that a woodpecker can go in, or a parrot can use it, and then the macaws come and take over and enlarge the entrance and inside as well. So yeah, and as you can imagine, there are a lot of competition. Other macaws in the Pantanal compete for the same nest. That can be in hollow palm trees as well, in this case. So yeah, other species fight for it. So it's not easy for the macaws. In around 30 days, the eggs hatch. and the chicks usually fly from the nest around after 105 days old, right? This is a beautiful picture from the institute. It's a camera trap. It's beautiful, and they also put cameras inside to study the animals, especially in the breeding season. So it's a lot of work. Also, in terms of breeding, the Hyacinth Macaw sometimes needs some help. So now you can see in the picture, the institute actually put, in this case, some pieces of wood to minimize the entrance, to get the entrance a little bit smaller. So rain don't come in, predators don't see really well chicks or eggs inside. So they help managing the nests, right? So this is very important. They manage the natural nests. But also to offer more holes in nature, the Institute created boxes, so artificial nests, to offer more holes for the macaws. So that's very special. Imagine how long it took to find the right size, the right size of the entrance, how thick it should be the wood, what kind of wood they would accept. But anyway, they got amazing results and they accepted really well. So as you can see, they manage the nest, they climb, they rappel to manage the nest or to manage the chicks. In this case, this researcher is managing the chick. And so imagine every day they go out to the field to monitor the population. Other species use the natural and the artificial nests as well. You can see in the picture toucans, owls, ducks, other macaws, falcons. So, and all those pictures are from the institute. People from the institute got the pictures, so that's really amazing. So, red and green macaws, the parrots as well, other parrots and other macaws. And they don't work just with the animals, right? So they also work with local community. In this case, is in one of the ranches that the Macaw Institute is based at. So they bring children from the ranch in a tour, in a guided tour with the Hyacinth Macaw Institute. So it's really amazing to create awareness, and they can actually get a lot of value of nature in their home, right? So also, this is another picture showing other ranches close by, children close by that were brought to the institute to see the macaws. This is also adults. So the institution brings a lot of ranchers, actually cattle ranchers, to see that, to experience the conservation work that they are doing, and a lot of them copy the idea and left open the gateways so the Hyacinth Macaw project can work on their ranches also, and the work is spread. So this is a picture of a tourism tour, right? Like a Hyacinth Macaw experience in ecotourism, and here how they manage the chicks. It's quite beautiful how big the animal is, and the amazing results. This is all about the conservation results, right? So in 1992, imagine the population. Remember the three populations we had of the Hyacinth macaws were that numbers. In the Pantanal, 1,500. In the other two areas, just 1,000. So was in 1992. And today, after 35 years of work, you can see actually 5,000 in Pantanal and 1,500 in the north, the other two areas. So it's amazing, amazing result. So 35 years of work, they were able to develop studies outside of the Pantanal and in other countries as well. So that's amazing, amazing result. The Leo trade decrease, this was special as well. Um, People used to get them as pets and get them from the nests. Today, even the cowboys and the local people are helping the Hyacinth Macaw, telling them if they found a new nest, and they can be monitored by the institute. So it's really great. They developed new management techniques, and other people around the world are learning from them and applying in their areas, right? So this is really great. The biodiversity conservation of the species, of course, this was great. The ecosystem services were established and are being established. So they serve for many other species as well. They disperse seeds, they plant other trees, they they play a very important role in the environment. One of the most important things, the conservation status was upgraded, right? So from endangered, they became vulnerable up to today, right? And scientific knowledge of the species was exposed to the world. A lot of were discovered. It is a flagship species for conservation, so to attract a lot of research, money for conservation. So it's a flagship species. And also, citizens were involved. So local community were involved as well. So that's a really special thing. And you can also support this cause if you want. You can go into the website. This is the website of the Hyacinth Macaw Institute. You can make any donation. There's all information there if you want to help as well. And just to finish the presentation, this is just a few pictures to show the wildlife photo opportunities you might have in an Pantanal trip. So because first of all, we see a lot of them, and special place to see. So we see them a lot in all the lodges we spend time. So it's very special. So first of all, this picture was taken with a small camera. This is very important to tell. Today I have a big camera, but this was one of my first pictures, and it was an point and shoot camera. You can also do this kind of pictures with point and shoot camera. So on flight, right? So, and also this is another picture of groups. So even with a heavy, strong backlight, you can get nice pictures of them. They are eating one of the nuts in the Pantanal. So this is special to see, and they are all looking to the camera. So it's quite nice to see that. Different kinds of opportunities, I mean, you're going to have. They are feeding on the ground as well. This is a nice, interesting picture from the Institute because it shows a cow in the background. So there's a special interaction between cows and the macaws in the wild as well. And you'll know better when you arrive there. I cannot tell you everything in this webinar, but it's very special. They are drinking water in the ground. So so many opportunities to see them in the wild. Also in the nest, something interesting to see. And you can play with the light. You can play with the couples on the boxes. Another picture here. This I like very much because it shows the really beautiful blue color of them, and with a blurred background. You got one with the open wings and look into the camera. I mean, you have a blast with Hyacinth Macaws. You can spend hours with the macaws. For example, between tours, You relax in the lodge, and you can see them around. You can play also with the light. You can get profiles and shades. So putting the trees together with the macaws. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities there. You can get sunsets. This has a lot of things, right? You got the sunset. You got a beautiful orange light. You got the shape of the tree and the shape of the macaws in the right side. You got even the boxes. So you can play a lot, and I bet you're going to have a lot of fun in the Pantanal trip with NetHab. So I think this is the last slide. I would like to thank you all for being here. I hope this was useful and you could enjoy what you saw here and heard. And hopefully I'll see you in the Pantanal in the next few seasons with NetHab. So thank you again. Thank you, Brooke.
Oh, that was amazing, Eduardo. Thank you so much. This is such a special, special bird, and I'm so glad that you brought this topic up because this is a very good, hopeful conservation win. When I was down in the Pantanal, I loved learning about this story and this species. So happy that you brought it to us too. All right, everybody, if you have questions for Elder, please put it in the control panel there, and we will go through some until the top of the hour. So let's just see what we have here. Oh, this is a really good question. There's a couple variations of it, so I'll just ask a more general one. Are any conservation efforts being done of replanting the trees that these various species of macaws like to eat on?
Yes, the Hyacinth Macaw Institute also do a work with that. Of course, it's so much information we could never share in the webinar. This is why the trip is there. But yeah, they plant both species of palm tree nuts in the Pantanal, and they have worked with schools also to plant those species. They are also working with the one that they nest on, called Manduvi. They also plant. They have a program or planting these trees in the Pantanal, and especially one of the areas we visit in the NetHab trip. There's a chance of people going out with them, going out with the Hyacinth Macaw Institute, and when they do, many things they do during the day, but they also plant those trees, and you can actually get a little wooden sign with your name or with your family name, or where you planted that trees. So it's quite special as well.
Great. And do these trees that are producing these nuts, do they produce them all year round? And if not, do the birds go eat something else, or do they cache by chance the nuts when they're not available?
One of the species, we're talking about the Hyacinth Macaw, right? The Hyacinth Macaw, the Akuri is all year round, so it's pretty important. And the second one, the Bocaiúva, is just 6 months of the year, and they mainly eat those two kinds of palm tree nuts. And eventually, they could get something else, but it's rare, very rare. What is interesting also, that it was reported that when they are breaking in the nuts, sometimes they can actually eat a beetle larva. So it's also a source of protein as well. So, but mainly they eat those two kind of palm tree nuts.
Awesome. Next, do these macaws ever appear in the Cerrado?
They actually are getting to Cerrado, especially where I live at. I live in Campo Grande City. So because of the institute work, they are being seen now closer to the city. So that's really great. They are seen in the Cerrado, which is the savannah in Brazil, and yes, closer and closer to the cities. We have other macaws actually living in the cities, especially where I live at in the city. The red and green, the blue and yellow, and we are seeing the hyacinth macaws now close to this area. So it's special, all because of their efforts.
I love good conservation question. How is deforestation impacting hyacinth macaws, and if you have any other information about the other macaw species?
Well, concerning all the macaws there, all the four species, deforestation is definitely one of the main threats, especially because Cerrado, the savanna of Brazil, is one of the most threatened areas in the world. It is really easy to access the savanna. So deforestation it's fast to do, it's easy to do. Different from Pantanal, because Pantanal is a wetland, so the access is much harder. This is why Pantanal is the most conserved biome of Brazil, right? But especially the hyacinth macaw, deforestation is still a problem because people are trying to always deforest to plant crops, which is now quite great in the Pantanal because Brazil was able to create a law, a special law for the Pantanal, and that forbids sugarcane, soybeans, so agriculture. It forbids agriculture in the Pantanal. It forbids mining in the Pantanal too. So that's a really great achievement of Brazil. Yeah, I think this is a kind of a overview, but very quick, of course, of conservation in terms of deforestation. Right.
Great. Thanks so much for that. It's nice when an entire biome is protected like that, especially something like agriculture. So that is very good to hear. It's such a special place. I dream about going back almost every day. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
do. I live close by.
it's a dream. What is the average lifespan again of the hyacinth macaws?
Mm. Yeah, I didn't mention. It's about 30 to 35 years old in the wild, right? So it's pretty long. But in captivity, it was reported already 70 years old, around 70 years old. So pretty long.
And how closely related are the hyacinth macaws to the more common ones, like the blue and golds?
Different genus, right? They are the same group, the same family. So parrots family, parakeets, parrots, and macaws are in the same family, but they are in different genus. The hyacinth macaw, and for example, the red and green, the blue and yellow, which are quite big ones. So different genus.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
This is a really good question too, when you think of the long-term conservation and sustainability of these two different populations. Is it possible that those two hyacinth macaws might get genetically become their own different species with them being so far apart, or how is that being managed from a conservation standpoint?
But I didn't understand which kind of two macaws you.
Yeah, the hyacinth macaws, how you had the two different populations of them.
Ah,
From a
okay.
genetic standpoint, how is that
Mm,
being managed?
I see. Yeah, the institute is concerned about that. So those three populations, the Hyacinth macaw has three populations in the wild, and they are isolated, so they don't exchange genes. Um, so they are getting a lot of efforts to expand their work to the other two areas, and they already did. So last year, if I'm not mistaken, a few researchers were already working in the northeast of Brazil, and they did an exchange program with other researchers from there. So they are managing these. They are being monitored and started to be studied. So perhaps in the future, if the two other areas receive more efforts to monitor, to manage nests, manage chicks, for example, uh, talk to the local communities, and maybe those two other populations will increase as well, and perhaps creating protected areas to link those areas so they can fly over. Maybe one day they could interact and exchange genes again. And the Institute already published a few studies that showed that even though they belong to the same species, they have different genetic differences a little bit. And this is why, because of these differences, they can actually uh, know if a macaw is captured in the wild and is being traded in the illegal trade, the black market, and the police got them, they can actually test and know where they are coming from. And for the past many years, I don't know how many, but for the past many years, no macaw, no hyacinth macaw was found on the illegal trade and coming from Pantanal. Those macaws were coming from these other two areas. So this also shows how great the work is being doing has been done in the Pantanal, but also how they are needed in the other two areas, right? So
Fantastic. Thanks for that. It was a really good question and a really interesting answer, too. Next, one of our viewers read that the Spix macaw was effectively extinct in the wild. Is that true? And if so, what is the current state of that macaw?
yeah, the Spix macaws they were extinct in the wild, definitely. As I mentioned, they were extinct, but they reintroduced. They started in 2020 reintroduction of the species back to the wild. So now they are facing a lot of challenges, but it's going. So hopefully they will be back to the wild. They were back a few couples, but now they're back to the captivity because they face some health issues, and then hopefully one day they'll recover. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Next, you did mention that macaws mate for life. If a macaw loses their partner, will they eventually find a new partner?
It's yes, as and no. Some the institute already reported yes, they already found another partners. Some others they suffered, and some already reported that they pass away, but not sure if there was the reason. But I mean, yes, they are made for life. They can find another mate sometimes, but it's still a lot of things to be discovered. A lot of things to be discovered.
And if somebody is interested in traveling to the Pantanal, what do you recommend is some of the best times to go?
Oh, NetHab just goes in the dry season, which is the best time. So the dry season from June, from May to October. This is the range of NetHab trips to the Pantanal. And why? Because this is when you see most of wildlife in the dry season. You have much better chance to see a lot of mammals in the dry season, and of course, a lot of birds together with the hyacinth macaws. So this is the best time for them. And one another information is when the NetHab trips start
Oh no. Oh, I think we just lost Elder, everyone. Let's just give him a second to see if he pops back on. He was not quite sure what happened there. Oh, we'll give him a couple minutes to see if he comes back on. Now I see all of the hand claps and hearts coming through. That was such a great presentation for our Friday, everybody. A great way to head off into the weekend. Ah, I love this conservation story. It's so hopeful. All right, we'll give him a couple little bits. Yeah, I see that. This laughing face that just came through, I know. At least this shut off at the very end, right? We at least got to watch his entire presentation. Oh. Well, all right, everybody. I think I'll go ahead and just wrap it up for now. But thank you so much for spending your Friday with me and with Elder and for tuning in today. If you're interested in information on how you can travel with NatHab, give us a call at 800-543-8917 or send us an email at info@nathab.com. Our adventure specialists are more than happy to help you. Join us Monday for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out next week's lineup, including registration links on our website at nathat.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and the replay will be available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.